What's up, YouTube family? JT&E Backyard Orchard back again. Sorry I had a little bit of a break in between videos. I tried to do a couple videos and then post them throughout the week, but our weather has been insanely crazy. Cold weather snap came through Central Valley, also with a pretty big rainstorm, so I wasn't able to do anything. But now we are past the time of no return. Everything is starting to wake up. As you can tell, this is our Blenheim apricot. It is starting to wake up from dormancy. Also our two nectarine trees and our 4-in-1 pluot, and also our galaxy peach with our donut peach grapes on there. So basically in today's video, I am going to be getting our trees ready for spring. Everything's starting to wake up. I'm going to do some of our pruning I wasn't able to do because of the rain. You really don't want to prune too much when there's going to be rain coming. Just funguses and everything can get into the fresh cuts that you do. We are going to be painting the tree trunks. We're also going to be doing our fertilizer. For the most part, our chickens do fertilize our trees, but I throw a little bit down just to have that. I'm going to put some in the newly planted trees right here for the galaxy peach and the 4-in-1. And then we are going to be doing our pruning just to bring down some of the growth on the inner side of the nectarine trees, because it is an open vase shape. We are going to be doing some pruning on all of our apple trees and our pear trees. Not too much to do on our persimmon tree, but as you can tell, it is starting to break dormancy as well. See, and this is what I really wanted. I wanted to basically redo this tree because I had it a little bit up higher around here, branching wise, and it gave us some pretty good fruits. Check out that video, persimmon, our first ever persimmon harvest, I believe it was called. I chopped it right around here, right after that harvest, and now all these dormant buds that were down here are starting to wake up. So I'm hoping I'm gonna have some. There's a branch that's coming out. There's a dormant bud that's right there. There's some other ones that are a little bit further down. There's one right there. Hopefully it will come up. But for the most part, everything is slowly starting to wake up from dormancy. This is our tiger panache fig. It's starting to as well, so we're going to do some trimming on there. This is our Shinseki Asian pear. Some of these buds are starting to look a little green. All right, so we're going to start right here in the nectarine trees. I have some growth right here I'm going to show you right now. It's going in towards the fence. I use this walk path right here to get to the chicken eggs to collect them. All right, so what I'm going to do is right here in this area, I have some branches that are growing upward. There's one right here that's also kind of coming upward and outward, but kind of going in towards the middle a little bit. I don't really want all this coming out like that, so I'm just going to go ahead and do one nice solid cut right here. And this brought this area right here open now to where I can walk through right here. And then we'll go ahead and do a little bit right here. And then probably just go ahead and take that off as well. There's some little spindly stuff right here. I'm gonna go ahead and take that off. All right, so this is from the other side, a better angle of what just happened. You always want to do your cuts at an angle to where the water runs off. If there is any moisture going to be left in the air, if there is any kind of rainstorms that kind of happen, you know, just to be safe. All right, and then you're basically gonna come into the tree, and then you see all this spindly stuff, really thin branches. Just go and take those out. Anything that's kind of growing in towards the center, which I've already pretty much done on all of it, but there's some stuff right here growing in towards the center, and all this flower buds right here is all going to be fruit, so we don't really have to be too worried about not having enough fruit. I'm going to go ahead and check this height a little bit, just a little bit, because I already see there's a lot of growth up here that if I let this just kind of flush out in spring, it's going to be way too high for the way we like growing things. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this down. Alright, so I just wanted to explain real quick on the type of cuts you do when you're pruning. So you can do thinning cuts. So this is a thinning cut. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go all the way back, and I'm just going to take that branch all the way off. Now if I want to do a heading cut, all I do is I go right here to where there's a viable bud. Right now it's really good because you can see everything, and you cut right there, and then that will then wake this bud up even more, and this will become your new scaffolding branch, and it'll come out like that. So again, thinning cut, heading cut. This will bring out a new bud right there, and then if you want a thinning cut, just completely take it off. We're going to do one big cut right about here, just to bring down this height. Okay, so right there I took off that branch, but it also has some branches that are coming out right here to branch out with some good fruiting wood on there. All right, I'm just gonna go ahead and do that for the rest of these trees, the nectarine trees. I don't want to bore you too much with, you know, all the pruning, but let's go ahead and get over to our apple and pear trees. Okay, so just a little bit of example of what you don't want to prune on your pear trees and apple trees, because pear trees and apple trees will have fruiting spurs. So these are fruiting spurs. Those will fruit for 10 to 15 years depending on varieties, how well you take care of them. You don't want to cut those. Where you do want to do thinning cuts or heading cuts is around vegetative buds. Now you can see the difference in something that's close up to a vegetative bud on a tree, on a branch, compared to a flowering bud. They're a lot bigger and thicker compared to a vegetative bud. That's where you want to make your cuts. You don't want to get rid of your flowering buds, and that goes the same for apples and pears. Nectarine trees are a little bit different. They have fruiting buds on new growth from the previous year's growth. All right, so again, I'm gonna bring down the height a little bit on here, clean up the inside of the canopy of your scaffolding branches. So what I'm gonna do is, when you're making your cuts, you always want to go to an outward facing bud. See, if I were to cut right here, this would kind of start going into this branch, which you don't want. But there's a really good bud right here. I'm just going to go ahead and cut that at an angle. And now this bud, where I made that heading cut, is going to wake up as soon as this tree starts to wake up fully and branch out this way. This is where I did a heading cut last year in the beginning of spring, when everything started waking up, and then it grew this much from that spot, and then I did another heading cut right there, and then it grew this much. Now I want to bring this down a little bit more in height because I don't like these trees being too tall. I mean, I'm 6'1", I got probably about a 7-foot reach. So what I'm gonna do is just right there, there's a bud that's facing outward. I'm gonna go ahead and trim it right there. Do a thin heading cut at an angle, and then that bud will then wake up and create another branch. And that's pretty much it about, you know, pruning on pears and apple trees. All right, now this is my pink lady apple tree. Just going to talk to you real quick about these fruiting buds. Really well defined vegetative buds on the pink lady apple. That's a fruiting spur. And then again right here, these are all fruiting spurs. You do not want to cut those off. Those are not little branches coming out. If they're facing in towards the center, it's fine. That's a fruiting bud. You do not want to cut that out. All right, so this is our fig tree. Do a couple of heading cuts. What I'm gonna go ahead and do is take this out a little bit to where it's not as congested, and just take that out right there. You see the milky sap is already starting to come out, so that means this tree is really starting to wake up. So this is a good time to start doing this. This is growing in towards the center, but we want this to kind of be our other like modified central leader, to where this is going to be the one coming up. As I'm going to take where there's a bud right here, I'm just going to take that back. The bud that's right there will then start coming out like that. All these little, these are the growth tips that were left from last year. I could leave it right there, but what I'm going to do, instead of doing that, I'm going to bring it back a little bit to this bud that's right there and do a heading cut. Thing right here, there's your growth tip. There's a bud that's right here in this area, heading cut. Start coming out this way, heading cut. Branch coming in right here, in towards the middle. We already have something coming in right here towards the middle, so we don't really want, you know, anything else. You can just come in here and do a thinning cut. Completely take that out. This is our Blenheim apricot tree, and this thing is loaded. I mean loaded with fruiting bud. Flowers are starting to open up. As you can see, all the white back there. Like I said, we kind of missed our window to do this before it really started waking up, but there's no green growth yet, so that's okay. On all of our trees, really, there's a little bit of green growth that's coming out, but so basically we're just going to come through here, and we're going to thin out a lot of the thin spindly stuff, thin out the middle a little bit. I did a heading cut right here because this is one of our trees that is to a modified central leader system. I got to pick one of those branches that I'm going to use as my new modified central leader system, central leader to go up and through the tree. So like I said, I don't want to bore you with too much video footage of pruning, but I want to give you the information as much as possible just to show how we do our pruning. We have a pretty nice sized branch coming out right here, but we also have this little spindly branches coming out right next to it. Now we can leave it, or we can thin it out, or just do a heading cut on it. There's some nice little fruit buds right there, but that's a little spindly, like really thin sized branch, so I don't even think it would hold up any fruit. But right here below that, there's a fruiting bud with also looks like a little growth bud right there. So we'll just do a little heading cut on that. See what happens right there. It is kind of growing in towards right here, but that's fine. And see what happens with that. There's no real like, you have to do it this way. You do, you know, heading cuts and thinning cuts, and you thin this way and you head cut that way. It doesn't matter. You do it the way you want it. Like right there, I could have took that branch out completely, but I did what I wanted to do. And like I said, we'll see what happens. You know, trees are really forgiving when you prune them. They're always going to bounce back no matter what, as long as you don't go and like all of a sudden cut down the bottom of that tree. You just want to go ahead and prune the way you want. I'm just giving you information the way I do, and to see if it can help you guys out. Alright guys, this is going to do it for today's video. Hope you guys liked the video. Subscribe, comment down below if you have any questions about our pruning techniques, our backyard orchard culture style pruning techniques. This is going to be a part 3 series. Part 1 is getting our trees pruned and ready for spring, is what we just did right now. Part 2 will be fertilizing. Part 3 will be painting the trunks, getting the soil ready just for the rest of the spring, fixing our watering system. So if you like the video, go ahead and subscribe, comment down below. Like I said, if you have any questions, we will see you all on the next one. And don't forget to boom that button, y'all, and we'll see you in the next one.